Hello, I'm Gareth, I'm Phones and Tablets Editor.
And I'm Kane and I'm Computing Editor.
And we have got the iPad Pro and the Surface Pro 4 here, and we're going to be giving them a good rundown comparison. I've been using the iPad Pro for about 2 weeks and you've been using the Pro 4?
About a week.
Yep, so we've got a really good idea of how they work, how good they are, and just give you a chance to decide which one's right for you.
So in terms of design, I didn't think that Microsoft would be able to make the Surface Pro 3 that much thinner, but the Surface Pro 4 is lighter. Like the Surface Pro 3, it feels really nice in the hand, but even more so because it's a little bit thinner this time around. It's 8.4 down from 9.1 millimeters. And it's just, Microsoft's just kept that really nice chamfered edges. It makes it nice to hold, whether in portrait or landscape mode. It's a little bit too heavy for holding it in just the one hand.
Yeah.
But if you just sat back and you got it in both hands, you could hold it for an extended period without too many problems.
Yeah, it's exactly the same with the iPad Pro. For me, I think it's a little bit thinner than the than the Surface Pro 4. Again, you can't hold this in a single hand for too long. It's just, the balance is really good. You know, the battery is clearly quite central, and it sits really nicely in two hands. In one hand, yeah, you can do it for about 2 or 3 minutes, but you're not going to do it want to do it for too long. With the iPad Pro, the thing here is, the difference for me, the two, is this is a tablet with laptop-esque abilities, and this is a laptop with tablet-esque abilities. The lack of mouse was probably the biggest thing for the issue with this. I feel like if you've got it on a desk, you just want to get a mouse out, because I hate the tap, 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 move your hand. It doesn't, there's the idea that the whole touchscreen is there to touch, but even little things like being able to move the cursor around within text, it's just really annoying to do it on an iPad Pro, whereas again, you've got the trackpad there and everything like that. But iPads aren't designed for cursors. That's just the way it is, and that's a MacBook territory.
That's it. And obviously Microsoft has put Windows 10 on the Surface Pro 4, and one of the massive advantages with this one compared to pre-Windows 10 devices is the universal apps. And in addition to the tablet mode within Windows 10, for example, you can open up the Kindle app, swipe in from the right, and you've got a button there, click it, and it maximizes to the full screen and gets rid of the taskbar, and it just makes it into a lot more usable tablet experience this time around.
See, as soon as you say usable tablet, that thing isn't a usable tablet. Windows 10 is still just terrible as a tablet mode, and I think the UI is fine. I still like what Apple does in the iPad. People say that the iOS is just a bigger phone OS, which is, but it works better on a tablet. It's just buttons to do stuff. Windows, you've got all this, you've got all the tiles, which are great, they look great, but then you get to apps and there's nothing. There's just so little there. And yeah, you can switch into desktop mode, but then it starts getting a bit fiddlier. And I don't know, just for a standard tablet experience, there's no competition.
In terms of professional use, we've got to remember that this is a tablet that can replace your laptop. It runs a full version of Windows. It can run all of the legacy apps out there. Anything you can download from the internet, it will run on this. You've got your USB port, again, makes it easier for transferring files onto it. But just due to the power under the hood, you've got full Intel Core processors in there. So you can run photo editing, video editing, even a bit of CAD, although you'd want to opt for the version with the higher amounts of RAM. So it's really a fully fledged computer for pretty much doing anything you can on a regular laptop, and there's very few limitations there, which even though the iPad's getting a lot more enterprise apps, how would you say that it's come on in terms of a professional way?
It's not a professional tablet. It's not at all. I can't even understand why it's being angled that way, other than just for marketing. iOS is so limited in what you can do, and that's kind of its strength and its weakness, because the idea about iPads being good is you can do this thing, and then you can do this thing, and you can do this thing, and yeah, you can do split screen mode, but that's not really multitasking. It's just doing two things at the same time, and that is a definition of multitasking, I know. But theoretically, you can't run things in the background, you can't switch between windows. It's just basically you can do this or you can do this. And so when it comes to, even Adobe said, the iPad Pro isn't there to replace what creatives use right now, but it's a really good accessory, and that's what it is. I find this one to be slightly more, I don't know, I don't want to say intuitive, but it just feels more natural within it. The pen on the end to rub things out is good, but the clicking and the buttons and everything, I found it was really hard to get my head around compared to just this with different pressure levels. What do you think?
I think this is really handy if you're traveling around with the Surface under your arm and you need to take some quick notes. With one note, just give it a click and it opens
like
it.
That, yeah.
That's pretty fluid.
Can you change the apps you can use to double click, or is it just OneNote?
Just OneNote.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the nib, it feels okay to write on. I thought because Microsoft has changed the optical bonded stack. There's less space between the sensors and the display, so it does feel a lot more like you're writing directly on a pad.
Yeah.
But having tried them both, I get the impression that there's just that little bit more finesse in the Apple Pencil.
Yes.
And it's got that high degree of where you can write on the side and do different strokes.
It's not even that. It's just writing normally in the end, power rejection, all that kind of stuff, so it doesn't get in the way. It feels more natural. I mean, nothing's going to replace writing on a screen on a piece of paper, but it's just easier to take notes, to make different things. And the amount of apps already that are coming out that can use the pencil, I mean, this is going to go crazy. You know, there's Paper and then Adobe Sketchbook and all these kind of different things that allow you to do really high-end stuff. You know, like I love Photoshop fixing stuff just with this, but again, it's just like it's a light version of the big effort you can do on a proper laptop.
I mean, that's it. When you get Photoshop, by now they've all got built-in support there for the styluses on the Surface devices, and they've sorted out the DPI problems for using the apps at high resolutions. I know a lot of artists got on board with the Surface Pro 3, some professional artists like Gabe from Penny Arcade, and I think the Surface Pro 4 is going to continue in that direction.
Great thing about the iPad Pro for me is that instead of having a full massive battery, each of these speakers is now 3 times louder than a single iPad Air 2, simply because the speaker chambers are bigger, there's lots more volume going through, and yet it doesn't seem to lose anything in terms of sound quality. If anything, it's better, and it's actually one of the most, I don't know, audio-wise, one of the best quality devices I've seen around. So, but in terms of the overall music and movie experience, I mean, have you used that for watching any films on so far?
Yeah, well, I've watched streamed a bit of Netflix on it. I mean, one of the best things about this device for entertainment is its display, which is just really bright. It's rated at around 370 nits, which is really bright for a tablet device, but it just produces really clear images, really rich colours. Entertainment, just on full brightness, it's almost too bright in a darkened room.
Yeah.
I found myself using it at 75% brightness when watching Netflix. It just looks great. The sound, okay, maybe not as good as the iPad, but just with the screen filled with content from a good distance, it looks really great to watch things on. But one of the advantages of the multi-position kickstand, unlike the iPad, is that you can actually put it at a different degree of angles.
Yeah.
So if you're standing it on a table at the bottom of your room, you can have it at a more kind of more narrow angle, or if it's closer to you on the table, you can have it flatter. So I think that's a big advantage of this one.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, the iPad, I've watched so many films on it on the train, even though I've got a phone or a smaller tablet that could do the same thing. Okay, thanks for listening. I think we've covered exactly what we want to see from both these tablets. For me, I can't see past the iPad Pro. Windows 10 is still too much of a hot mess in terms of the things you can do on desktop and tablet. It's way too functional for a tablet hybrid. This is simplicity itself, and that's what you want.
Well, I couldn't disagree more. I think that this is the ultimate versatile tablet that's so thin and light, much lighter than tons of laptops out there. You can do so much more with it, including a ton of tablet things that the iPad Pro does. Therefore, this is your device.
Thanks for listening, and if you want to subscribe, please do, and thank you very much for liking us. Follow us on Facebook, see us on Twitter, check us out on Instagram. Thanks very much. Goodbye.